The largest concentration of Sinaguan rock art that we know about can be found right here at the V Heritage Site in central Arizona's Verde Valley. There are over 1,000 petroglyphs at this site, and they are created between 600 AD and 1400 AD. So they are very, very, very old, and they are very well preserved because this was private property. Up until the 1990s, the mid 1990s, this was a private ranch. So I believe in 1994, the Coconino National Forest acquired this land and then opened it up for public access. The Sinaguan culture was a native culture that occupied large sections of central and north central Arizona from about 500 AD to 1500 AD. If you've been to Tuzigoot, Montezuma's Well, Montezuma's Castle, you've seen their dwellings, you've seen what they can construct. They were a pretty prolific culture with incredible construction. The Walnut Canyon cliff dwellings and the pueblos at Wupatki are also from Sinagua culture, although the Sinagua up by Flagstaff in the higher elevations are considered slightly distinct. So, this petroglyph site is by Wet Beaver Creek. Wet Beaver Creek is a perennial stream, which is pretty rare for Arizona. That means that it flows year-round, which makes it interesting that these people left. The Sinagua people left the Verde Valley between 1400 and 1500, but it's not clear why. The Hopi today say that the Sinagua left and migrated into Hopi tribal lands of northeastern Arizona because their life in the Verde Valley was too decadent and becoming too easy. That's interesting because that's sort of a theme that we see again and again in ancient culture with apocalypse and migration and things like that. It makes me think of Atlantis. But the bottom line is that in the Verde Valley, with these perennial sources of water, like the Verde River and Wet Beaver Creek, it was a Garden of Eden. So why they left for these very difficult lands on the Colorado Plateau where the Hopi live today, where it's dry, windy, cold, the ground isn't as fertile, it's just a very difficult life. We don't exactly know the details of that, but the Hopi say that these people, the Sinagua, assimilated into Hopi culture, and that's why they have a special connection with this petroglyph site and with the Sinagua more generally, because they're sort of like their ancestors. One interesting thing to note is that the ground beneath the petroglyphs was actually a few feet lower back then when they were created compared to today, and that's because of deposition from a couple things. One is wind-blown sediment from above the cliffs, and the other would be sedimentation from floods. So as you walk up on this massive panel of rock art, these sandstone cliffs that the petroglyphs are carved into, your mind is just blown away. Seriously, I mean, the diversity of depictions, whether it's shapes and lines and different sorts of geometric patterns, to animals and creatures like cranes, elk, deer, coyote, lizards, to people and figures and different beings that, you're not exactly sure what they are, but they're definitely interesting to look at. It really is something special. This art is considered to be in the Wet Beaver Creek style of rock art. And what that means basically is that these different illustrated elements, they can touch each other, but they can't overlap each other. You're not going to see petroglyphs here that cover each other up. A lot of the animals illustrated in this wall can be tied to clans that we see in modern Hopi culture. So we see cranes, we see turtles. Turtles would represent the water clan probably. And we also see what look like bear paw prints, although I'm not exactly sure. I mean, they could be Bigfoot footprints for all we know, because, they could be both as well. Some of the footprints are more rounded, some of them are more square. A lot of them have 5 digits, but some of them have 5, 6, 7, even 8 toes. That's interesting to me. A lot of the creatures depicted here also come in pairs, whether it's the animals coming in pairs or people coming in pairs. There's what looks like a birthing scene because there's a person coming out of a person. That's what it looks like to me. There's also what you could call ancient pornography because it looks like 2 people doing the deed. There's also the presence of medicine men. There's quite a few medicine men depicted in this panel of petroglyphs, and we assume they're medicine men because of their pose and because of their headdresses. So that's just what somebody told me. It may or may not be true, but it does seem like there's the presence of medicine men, and also potentially a scene of a medicine man leading animals out from the darkness, like a crevice in the rock, sort of like the underworld perhaps. This could be an origin story. I want to draw your attention to this humanoid looking depiction that I saw on the rock wall. What is going on with this guy? He's got like Yoda looking ears, like ancient alien level shenanigans. His ape index is off the charts. His arms are so much longer than his legs, and he's only got 4 fingers. So I don't know what to make of this guy. You can let me know what you make of him, but it's not clear to me. One thing that is very noteworthy about this site is that there is loads of archaeoastronomy littered throughout the rock wall. And that basically means that these people who made these petroglyphs had a very good understanding of the stars, the constellations, the planets, basically the heavens above them. They had a good understanding of it, and they had a good understanding of how their corn planting schedule fits in with the equinoxes and the solstices. The spirals on the left side of the panel actually align with shadows cast by a carved rock that is stuck in the middle of the rock wall. And those shadows are cast in certain ways on the equinoxes. And the Hopi today say that this all aligns very well with their corn planting schedule, I guess, in some way, which is they plant on the 3rd week of April, and then a month later they have their main planting, and then a month after that they have their insurance planting. So the Hopi say that this could be like a corn planting calendar. I don't know. It seems very advanced. But there are depictions of corn. There are petroglyphs of corn stalks in this panel. So yeah, I would do more research on all of that because there is so much going on here. So in summary, the V-Bar-V Heritage Site is a fascinating historical spot that deserves a lot more attention, and I'm sure it will get a lot more study in the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.